Hi everyone, back again. Sorry, not sure what happened there. I think I ran out of storage on my other phone, so I've switched to another phone now, so it might be a slightly more different angle. But anyway, let's get on with it. We're going to do part 2 now. So the last question was about occupations, and it was who sews and makes dresses. So who sews and makes dresses? Okay, next question is who makes suits? Who would you visit if you wanted to get a nice new suit? Where would you go? What is the occupation of that person? Okay, next up, you got quite a difficult one. I think so anyway. Who makes hats? What is their occupation if they make a hat or they make hats? Okay, next question. Someone who writes articles for newspapers, TV and magazines. Someone who writes articles for newspapers, TV and magazines. What would they be called? What would their occupation or job be? Next question. Someone who takes your order in a restaurant. Someone who takes your order in a restaurant. What would their job title or occupation be? Okay, next up, you got a person who works underground looking for coal. Person who works underground looking for coal. Okay, and the next one is the person who delivers your post. Who is the person? What is their occupation if they deliver post? Okay, next up, the person who looks after people in a hospital. Someone that looks after somebody in a hospital. Okay, what is their occupation? What is the occupation of someone if they fix bathrooms, toilets, blocked water pipes, or anything like that to do with water and waste in and out of your house? What would their occupation be? Okay. Next up, you've got someone who keeps the books for a business or a bookkeeper. What is their occupation? What would they be? Someone who keeps the books or does the books for a business. Okay, next up, someone who studies the planets and stars. Someone who studies the planets and stars. What would their occupation be? Okay, next question. A person who connects electricity to buildings and homes. A person who connects electricity or works on electrical appliances, etc. in your homes. What would that person be? Okay, next up you've got someone who catches fish and shellfish to sell. That's a bit of a tongue twister, I didn't realise that was in there. Someone who catches fish and shellfish to sell. Okay, who's the person that looks after all the animals at a zoo? Who is the person who looks after all the animals at a zoo? What would their occupation be? Okay, this one is a person who treats and looks after sick and injured animals. Someone who looks after sick and injured animals. Where would you take your dog or cat, for example, if it was feeling not very well? Okay. Next up, you've got a person who would look after your feet. Someone who would look after your feet. Okay, after that, you've got someone who will sell your house. What would their occupation be if they sell your house? Okay, next up, you've got a more difficult one. This one is I predict the weather forecast. I predict the weather forecast. Okay, next question. I educate people in schools. If they educate people in schools, what is their occupation? Okay, so I paused it there. The next question is I build buildings or walls out of stone. I build buildings or wall out of stone. What is my occupation? Okay, next question. I work at keeping law and order in the community. What would my job be? What would my occupation be? I work at keeping law and order in the community. What would my occupation be? Okay, next question. I sell flowers and make bouquets. I sell flowers and make bouquets. What would my occupation be? Okay, next up, very topical. I cut men's hair. I cut men's hair. What would my occupation be? I definitely need to see one really quick as soon as this is all over. Okay, next question. I cut and style women's hair. What would my occupation be? I cut and style women's hair. Okay, next question. I put shoes on horses. What would my occupation be? I put shoes on horses. Okay, next one, still horse related. I ride horses at the races and people place bets on me. What is my occupation? Okay. Next up, I fix and replace broken glass windows. What would my occupation be? I fix and replace broken glass windows. Next up, I fly aeroplanes for a living. What is my occupation? I fly aeroplanes for a living. Okay. You come to my store to fill in prescriptions and buy medication. So where would you take your medications? Take your prescriptions and buy medications. Where would you take them to? What would the person's occupation be in there? Okay. Next up, I deliver babies at home or in the hospital. What would my occupation be? I deliver babies at home or in the hospital. Okay. Next up, I would fix your car if it broke down. What would my occupation be? I would fix your car if it broke down. Next one is my job is in movies or on TV shows. What would my occupation be if I was in movies or in a TV show? Okay, next up, I live in your home and take care of the children. What would my occupation be? I look after the children in your own home. What would that be? Okay. Next up, I play an instrument on stage and I entertain people. So I play an instrument or I sing on stage. What would I be? Okay, coming up to the last four now. I can make a rabbit come out of a hat and make people disappear. What would my occupation be? I can't actually do that. I can make a rabbit come out of a hat and make people disappear. Okay, again, this one isn't me, but I can dance the Swan Lake and dance on my toes wearing a tutu. And that is something, believe me, nobody wants to be seeing. I can dance the Swan Lake and dance on my toes wearing a tutu. What would my occupation or job be? Okay, the next one, the last but one question. I design buildings and draw plans. What would my occupation be? I design buildings and draw plans. Okay, and the last question for the whole of the quiz. I take photographs for a living. I take photographs for a living. What is my job title or occupation? Okay, so let's just go back up and mark these. We're going to do it fairly quick because there is a lot to get through. Okay, so all the way back up to the top. So a person who cooks and manages a kitchen in a restaurant is called a chef. A chef. A person who builds houses with bricks, I'll take bricklayer, which I've got written down here, or a builder. We can have a builder. Someone who cuts up meat for sale is known as a butcher. A butcher. Someone who makes bread, cakes and pastries would be a baker. Okay, someone you visit when you're not feeling very well or for a checkup would be a doctor. You can also have a point for a GP as well. Someone who serves drinks at a bar or in a hotel would be a barman or a barmaid. They're the two answers I've got there. When you visit, who you visit to get your teeth checked, you can have a point for dentist, or you can have one for orthodontist as well, or 2 points actually. If you got both, okay. So who would you visit for legal advice? I will take the answer a lawyer or a solicitor. Who sews and makes dresses? I've got here a dressmaker. Okay, who would you visit if you were having a suit made? It would be a tailor. A tailor. Who makes hats? Now this one caught me out because I didn't know that. And it would be a milliner. A milliner. M-I-L-N-E-R. Milner. A bit like James Milner, the footballer. A milliner. Someone who writes articles for for newspapers, TV and magazines is a journalist. Someone who takes your order at a restaurant, not a restaurant, a restaurant would be a waiter or waitress. A person who works underground looking for coal would be a miner. A person who delivers the mail or the post would be the postman or postwoman. You've got people who look after people in hospital. Now I'll take a point for any of these. You've got doctors, nurse, HCAs, so healthcare assistants, carers. I'll take any of them, and also anything related to that at all. And they're all key workers, so well done. Next up, you've got I fix bathrooms, toilets and block pipes and things like that. That person who deals with all your water things in your house is a plumber. It would be a plumber. Someone who keeps the books for business or does the books for business would be an accountant. Someone who studies the planets and the stars would be an astronomer. An astronomer. And the person who connects electricity to buildings and houses and has anything to do with electric would be an electrician. Okay, someone who catches fish and shellfish to sell. Nearly caught me out again. We would put fisherman, but we'll even take fishmonger, shall we? Fishmonger would do. We can have a point for that. Person who looks after all the animals at a zoo, we've got a zookeeper. There might be some other technical names that they have, but yeah, a zookeeper is the answer we're looking for. Okay, I treat sick and injured animals at my clinic. So where would you take your poorly dog or cat? Take them to a vet. Person who looks after your feet, you've got a podiatrist, but I'll also give a point out for chiropodist. Next up, who would sell your house? So the person who would sell your house would be an estate agent. Estate agent. Okay, I predict the weather forecast. You don't get a point for weatherman. It's a meteorologist. A meteorologist you get your point for. People, if I educate someone in schools, I would be a teacher. Okay, I build buildings or walls out of stone, would be a stonemason. Person who works at keeping law and order in the community would be a police constable, a policeman, policewoman. We'll take either of them, or even a PC, or a police officer, police constable, anything like that. So basically the police. Sell flowers and make bouquets would be a florist. Cutting men's hair would be a barber. And then cutting and styling women's hair would be a hairdresser. Someone who puts shoes on a horse would be a farrier. A farrier, F-A-R-R-I-E-R, a farrier. Person who ride horses and people place bets on me would be a jockey. I fix and replace broken glass windows. That'd be a glazier. I fly aeroplanes for a living. That's a pilot. So where you get prescriptions or buy medication, the person you buy it off or get them off would either be a chemist, or you can have appointments for a pharmacist as well. I deliver babies at home or the hospital would be a midwife. Who fixes your car when it breaks down, that person would be a mechanic. If your job is in movies or on TV shows, you'd be an actor or an actress. Someone who lives in your home and takes care of the children, we're looking for nanny, but I'll also take au pair. I play an instrument on stage and entertain people. You're a musician. That's the occupation. I can make a rabbit come out of a hat and make people disappear. That would be a magician. I'm sure they've got plenty of other tricks up the sleeve as well. This one, I can dance the Swan Lake and dance on my toes wearing a tutu. Again, I'd just like to clarify that is not me. I cannot do that. It would be a ballerina. Okay. Next up, someone who designs buildings and draws plans would be an architect. And someone who takes photographs for a living would be a photographer. Okay, so mark them all up, tot up your total scores for each of the sections. Did anyone get them all right? I don't think there's going to be anyone who has got all of them right. I hope not anyway, because if they have, then we might have to make it a bit more difficult next time. So yeah, if everyone wants to give it a bit of a like, a share, subscribe to it, and then every time I come on, I'm going to hopefully do some live streams, live quizzes, live from the van as well. I might even do a live stream of different areas where I've pulled up. So like I say, today I'm at home, I'm on the drive. I could be in Telford, I could be Wolverhampton, Coventry, so we can do a little show around of where I am. Let me know if you like the content, or if you want to do anything like more, say, sports or nature, or do you just like general knowledge. If everyone enjoyed it, I'll do another one next week. We're definitely going to be doing one for VE Day, special on the bank holiday, so that's on May the 8th. It's bank holiday Friday, because they've changed it this year. So bank holiday Friday, I'll be doing a special VE Day quiz to celebrate VE Day, so if you want to all tune in for that. One last thing, if you come out with the lowest score, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's a prestigious award. I've won it so many times, especially during PE when I was at school. So what I will do, if you come out with the very lowest score, I will personally deliver a wooden spoon to the service. I'll go and pick some up from somewhere. Everybody loves to get the wooden spoon. I might even deliver a couple of little treats around to the services as well. Obviously following social distancing guidelines. Make sure you're all washing your hands, using antibac gel, all that kind of stuff, and being sensible. Unfortunately, the winner doesn't really get anything, but you get gloating rights, for a week. But anyway, thanks again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed it. Like I say, leave me some comments. If you sat doing this on your own at home from on YouTube, just type in some comments. I'm sure a lot of people will type back, and you can send some messages and stuff between each other. But that's it for now. So stay safe. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll hopefully see you all again soon. Bye.